What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Live at the Roxy. We are joined today by a dear friend of mine, a very special guest who is much funnier than I am, which bodes well for you guys during this quarantine time. It's Danielle Radford.
I don't know, man. I'm real tired.
That's the thing, like just not firing on all cylinders recently.
No. And I'm trying to get into a good brain routine because it's not an extended vacation. Like I'm still working. So
What does that look like? So right now, are you working same hours just from home? What are you doing? What's a day in the life?
yeah, for stuff with Screen Junkies and Fandom, I am doing my usual 3 days a week there, working on the honest trailers and other content that we're thinking up. And then I've got my podcast, which I'm still doing on Fridays from home, the Tights and Fights, the wrestling podcast. And then just, I'm in talks for various random, what can you do at home type gigs. So
mostly writing or hosting stuff or both kind of?
Both kind of. I think mostly writing / hosting stuff is kind of what I'm looking at. For a few places, which hopefully some of that stuff pans out. And just trying to keep busy. Like it's the show that I was working on stopped production early, like every show did. But I hope to continue doing stuff like this. I'm doing that thing everyone's doing right now where they're promising themselves they're going to finish their pilot in quarantine.
I said that to myself, and we have been here for 2 weeks, and I have not opened my final draft. So there's that.
Gotta open your final draft is the point.
I know. I'm working. I'm doing the same things you are right now, which like a lot of the time is pitching companies or like talking about what you can host or what you can write for them right now. Doing stuff for Screen Junkies right now as well, and like doing running social media for places, trying to do the live stream. So it's like I thought that during this time I was like, oh great, I'm going to take Joestar just gave me notes on my feature. I'm going to start implementing those. I'm going to finish this pilot idea that I had. And all of a sudden I've been here 2 weeks and I'm like, way to go, Roxy. You did watch Tiger King, but that's about that.
Tiger King. Yeah, no, it's hold on. I'm having a headache thing. So
go do your thing.
I'm gonna close my laptop and we'll be right back. That went all the way down my boobs. I saw it.
It was legitimately, I don't even know if you can hear us still, but it was a legitimate chest shot. So I'm sure people were very excited about that. Okay, so while she is gone right now, guys, don't forget to get those likes going. It almost looks like I paid somebody to like this channel right now, considering we have 85 people watching and 84 thumbs up. So all of you guys have been amazing. Also, don't forget the super chat, the Streamlabs, all that stuff. Guess who's back? What did you take? Something for your headache?
Yeah, I just took some Advil or some.
Dude, do you have migraines all the time? I mean, we've talked about before that you had some, but it's still going on with the headaches and stuff.
Oh, I've been getting migraines since I was like 13.
Wow.
It's just a thing that runs in my family. The women in my family, we're tall and we get migraines.
If you have to go at any point in the broadcast, just tell me to piss off and then
I've got
run.
These shows with a migraine. It's totally fine.
All right. Well, we do have a lot of questions going on in the super chat and the Patreon, so I do want to get to some of these. Let's pull up a couple. Our very first super chat of the day coming in from Larry Lease, who says, as we live in quarantine, what's your fondest memory of being at the movies? I'm so bad at these questions, dude. I can never think about anytime somebody says, what's your first time you went to the movie? Or like, what's the most recent movie you went to? I don't know what it is. Call it stoner brain. I feel like I constantly have pregnancy brain, but I've never been pregnant. Like it just cannot remember the movie trip. So you're going to have to take this one. Fondest memory?
Cats every time. And I mean, I know we're all talking about cats so much right now, but that was truly a joy to get to see in the theater with other people who got it and were having a really good time with it.
Your Twitter is like an ode to cats.
It really is. I think I finally switched my name from, I was Danielle Anydots for a while, and I think I switched it to Social Danielling. But yeah, no, I'm not like that. It is, I haven't even been to one of the rowdy screenings. Like these were just regular screenings where everyone like gave themselves permission to let go and let God and let cats wash upon them.
It is truly unbelievable how many celebrities I have seen via TikTok or Instagram story right now watching Cats. Like, this movie has to be doing very well right now.
No, I know that it's doing well on streaming, and like I know it's got to be doing good because I know so many people who have bought it because it's like you don't, and even if you get the patched version, it's not that patched. Like it doesn't go from looking like, it's not like the difference between the Sonic before and after.
Right.
It's like, it's not, it just goes from being like, I cannot believe that they released it this way to being like, oh, well, there was effort. And I don't blame the people who work on it. Like, I don't blame the graphics house at all. I never do. That's always like, at the end of the day, if that stuff comes down to the producers and to the director.
The producers and the director, guys.
Like that's who those come. And I believe, and I could be wrong, so don't clip this and say I'm wrong if I'm wrong. But I think that was the same house that was doing Sonic. So I think that they might have been doing that Sonic crunch at the same time they were doing that. Mess.
Yikes. But here's the thing, like you're talking about with the patch. How are you going to patch out Judi Dench's direct-to-camera? You can't patch it out.
Yeah,
you can't.
That is just part of the thing. Yeah, no,
it's just so there's not much they could do. I can't. Fondest memories of being at the movies. What I will say is I love going to the movies alone. I think that growing up, I was afraid to do anything alone because I was scared. I had so much fear of people judging me and not liking me and thinking that I was a loner, and I was always kind of different and weird, as you guys know very well about me. What'd you say, babe?
That's what we like about you.
Well, now I feel more confident in that, but being a kid and even a teenager and like not feeling sure of yourself and feeling awkward in your own skin, I wouldn't go eat alone. I wouldn't go to the movies alone. So once I felt like I didn't really give a fuck if somebody was like, she's alone at the movies, and also realized that I'm not that important. Nobody's looking at me at the movies. They're doing their own thing.
Everyone is in their own world, man. Like everyone, right. Always think that everyone is like silently judging us or whatever. We're all our own universe, and everyone is busy worrying that everyone notices the weird thing about them.
Totally. I realized that really a lot of what it was yes, self-consciousness, but also self-absorbedness, thinking that people gave a shit that I was at lunch by myself. Like it's very self-centered way of thinking. So once I stopped that, I love going to the movies alone now because a lot of time, as you know, Danielle, and as you guys at home know, I have very different opinions on movies than other people. Mm-hmm. And I like to be able to feel how I feel about a movie without being influenced by all my friends who are like, that movie was crap. Because if a lot of times I really like the movie, like life itself. I love that movie so much. If I had seen it with all of the critics and everybody, I probably wouldn't have liked that movie. So I know it's not a specific memory, but I like doing that. Larry Lease also says, as a writer, how do you get traffic to your material? Ooh. Danielle, that one's for you.
Well, I mean, it's one of the ways that I started, and of course, I've been doing stand-up comedy for way too long to not be famous at it. Like an embarrassingly long amount of time.
Dude, you're getting there. You're getting there.
We'll see, man. But yeah, so I've been doing stand-up for a while. But I also, honestly, I started with like Medium blogs. And like, just if I, because it's not about, for me at least, it's like, you can't really control how many people are seeing your stuff and like what vibes, what is it. You can push all your stuff out on Twitter. You can ask your friends to tag and share your stuff and have a supportive community. But none of that guarantees anything. But what you can guarantee is that if you keep writing, you're going to keep getting better at writing. And you just got to make your own stuff now, man. Like you can't depend on, you can't depend on, it's just not the same world that it used to be, where it's like, if you were a stand-up comic, in the 90s, you go to Just for Laughs, you get picked up and suddenly you're a huge star and you have a TV show. Mm-hmm. People want to know that you can make stuff on your own without them. So
what do you think about script competitions? Do you participate in those ever, or like Nickel or Blacklist, nothing like that?
I don't. I don't necessarily think they're a bad thing. I mean, I think if it's something where you've already got a script and you feel good about the place that it's in, go ahead and submit it. Why not? I know people do that, and people submit their stuff for grants and stuff all the time too. When I am at a point where I do want to make my first feature, probably, but I'm also not at a point where I'm ready to make my first feature yet.
Yo, I was getting very close. I feel like I was like, this right now being the thing that's draining any small savings account I had. I was like so excited to try to I have a feature that I've been holding on to for a while. And I was like, okay, I found a way to figure this out and I'm going to crowdfund and then I'm going to try to match and all this. Bye-bye. Bye-bye for a couple of years, baby. I'll miss you.
Yep. But yeah,
it's what it is.
Also, just like take advantage of with money, take advantage of all of the free sites. Like if you are really like it's people on TikTok, they're doing something and they're getting people to pay attention to them by doing that. If you're funny on Twitter, be fun on Twitter, join conversations, see if you can start to get people to follow your stuff. Use YouTube, use all of these platforms that are free and available for you to be able to show off the stuff that you can do. I say if you haven't made a lot of stuff, the shorter the better.
Definitely
keep it to like a minute if you're going to put stuff up there, but make it like the funniest, greatest minute of thing that you have done. And then because people are more likely to click on something shorter from someone they've never heard of. They're not going to click on like an hour-long thing if you've got like 2 followers. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, I think that's great advice because it's definitely about the build. Like everybody wants to put out their 30-minute greatness, but really start by just gaining people's trust. Yeah. I'm now doing these hour-long streams because I've been at this for 10 years. And luckily I bring in people like Danielle and people want to hear what she has to say. So people come over here to watch the two of us. But when I first started, I wasn't getting anybody watching anything. So I needed to be doing things that were Vine size or, less than 5 minutes. So I think that's great advice because I think it translates from hosting to acting to writing to directing, whatever you're trying to do in the arts. At first, you have to tell people why they should care.
Yep. It's a commercial for yourself. Make one commercials for this is funny and this is what I do. And then once you do that, then you earn people's trust and you get to earn more time to do stuff.
Also, if you're somebody who's making it yourself, it's a lot cheaper to make something that's a minute than it is to make something that is 20 minutes. So it's beneficial. Coming in from the Streamlabs, streamlabs.com/Roxy Stryer, Billy Belford says, hey, Danielle and Roxy, I miss you on the Schmodown desk, Danielle. Have you gotten to see Dark Side of the Ring yet? Really crazy to see the full story of all that went down with Benoit and Eddie. Keep killing it, ladies. That's Benoit, right? That's the guy that
Benoit and Eddie Guerrero. I have not watched that yet. I was telling Roxy because she was asking me about kind of stuff I'm watching. That is one that I am shelving for right now. Because it's a bummer. And it's already like, I don't know that I want to do deep dives into things that are super weird bummers, but also.
Yes, dude, I can't watch bummers right now. I'm all about comedy right now. I can't even watch Westworld right now. I want no bummers in my life. Bummers be gone.
I'm watching a lot of reruns of Shameless, guys. Like I'm watching things that make me laugh and that are funny. And if it is a bummer, I know that they're going to pivot and make me laugh in like 2 seconds after that.
Yes.
But it's also like, I'm weird in that way. And I think that's, everyone thinks it's so funny. I'm always talking about cats. That's like the one time I'm actually in the zeitgeist when it comes for stuff. Because normally, unless I'm like going because I'm covering it or something like that, if something is getting a lot of hype, I like to wait until the hype dies down. But maybe for the same reason as you, Rox, I like to be able to see it without all the noise and without all the hot takes. I think I waited like 2-3 weeks to see Joker because I just wanted to see it and like have my own opinion of it outside of anyone else's anything. So I think that's what I'm going to do with Dark Side of the Ring 2 is just like give it a couple weeks until everyone on Twitter stops talking about it. Sorry, I live in a very loud, stabby neighborhood, so you're going to hear some ambulances.
Honestly, haven't heard much.
Oh, good. I think you missed the gunshot.
I used to live in a stabby neighborhood too. There was a gunshot and death right outside my apartment doors, and all of my little roommates ran right outside to go see it. I was like, good, smart ladies. That's what you should do when you hear a gunshot. Run towards it. Excellent work.
Exactly.
Go.
Exactly. But yeah, so I'm gonna wait and see that one once it's no longer on Twitter and everyone's not talking.
Where is it? Is it a Netflix doc or something, or is it on their app?
Vice. I think it's a Vice documentary.
Okay.
Yeah.
Also, we have questions for you coming in from the Patreon. Anybody who's in the $10 tier up gets to ask all of our guests a question. So they did have some wrestling ones. Donnie A said, what's your opinion on WrestleMania taking place in the Performance Center with no fans in attendance? This is wild. I think it's wild. What do you think?
I think I do not like the idea of a bunch of wrestlers touching each other right now. They're always constantly talking about like, oh, I gave, their staff infections are always getting passed back and forth. Like even wrestling was always like, hey, don't get ringworm and touch people because everyone's going to get, you know what I mean? So it's just like, I don't like the idea of them wrestling. If they're going to do it, fine, whatever. I think doing it in the Performance Center, just having other wrestlers be your audience, I think that's smart. I think I liked the way that AEW did it. I think it was like last week, but I don't know. I gotta say, I just don't feel super, super psyched about the idea of just all of those people touching and rubbing on each other right now and then taking it home. And some of them have young kids. Are they just going to quarantine them all in the Performance Center for like 2 weeks after that? Like, how is that going to work? And then they're on planes and cars and renting cars and then going back to like their communities where they spend most of their time. I don't know. I just think it's a bad idea.
Vince McMahon, nobody can be surprised by his decision based on all of his track record, because this is exactly what you would expect him to do. The show must go on regardless of what's happening on this planet or in this country. But I haven't seen much about the response. Have you been paying attention? Like, what are most fans saying? Is everybody excited that he's still doing this, or do people seem to be in your camp a little bit?
I think everyone's kind of like, I haven't seen too many. Well, and here's the thing. I was talking about this with a bud of mine this week. The buildup, they call it the road to WrestleMania, as Rox knows, and maybe some people who watch wrestling here know. So we all forgive, because from about September until the road to WrestleMania starts, usually around the Royal Rumble, is just nothing happening. There's no big storylines. It's all kind of dead. So maybe some of the wrestling is fun, but we all are just like, it's fine, because when the road starts, they're going to start really building these stories. The road this year sucked. Like I was already not psyched about any of the matches. I wasn't psyched about, except for obviously, I'm psyched for Rhea and Becky and Shayna. Like, I'm psyched for that match, but that's about the only match that I was really super pumped
forward to.
Yeah, I didn't like the build up for it already wasn't good. So now you combine good build up with, I feel like I'm watching someone die in the ring. Like, ooh, I don't know, man.
Yeah, it is true exactly what you're saying about their families. I mean, these wrestlers, they really don't have a choice. Now that their boss is telling them what to do, it's not like an opt-out program where they could be, the ones that have families can be like, "Ooh, sorry, actually, this isn't safe for me."
They're independent contractors, right, Vince? That's right. Away with not paying for healthcare. That's how you get away with not. And they do some stuff on like a volunteer, but they make sure that like, oh yeah, we do these really good things where we take care of some of our wrestlers in some way, some kind of help. But no, they're independent contractors, so they should be able to say no, but they know that they won't have a job, and this is how they pay. This is their dream, and it's what they've always wanted. And I don't blame any of the talent. It's all about the management.
Of course. It's not the talent's choice. They're not doing this on purpose.
Look, I would watch wrestling from home if it was just like a bunch of people doing like we're doing here and cutting promos on each other and not actually touching. Man, watching people in old shows like touch and kiss and hug now, I was like, man, we was living reckless.
Yeah.
We were living so wild back then. I remember, this is gross. It's not gross. It's fine because he's like my brother. But like, if he gave me a bite of like his food,
yeah.
A couple of weeks ago, I was like, man, we were living so reckless.
I know. I don't even know how we're going to explain this time, like, to our kids and our grandkids. Like, how are we even going to explain that in the modern era, this is what we did? Like, the hottest commodities were toilet paper and Purell, and you stayed home, and relationships be damned. Like, you were by yourself, quarantined. I don't even know how we're going to explain that to people.
We're going to be, how like after the Depression, there's all like, oh, my Grammy doesn't trust the bank, so she puts it all on her mattress. It's going to be like, yeah, man, Grammy washes cans in soap and water as soon as she gets home. And like, you know what I mean? Like,
totally.
Like
it's weird.
I want everything. I have a routine. I'm very lucky in that I live close to a bunch of like grocery stores that are still open. Like literally, like I have a small, what would be called in a different place a bodega, but it's not a bodega. I've got one of those. I've got like a convenience liquor store. I've got like a grocery store, like all kind of like literally in one block of me. So
oh, that's awesome.
I'm not doing a whole lot of traveling if I need anything, but I have like a whole like delousing technique. As soon as I come in, hands get washed. Everything that was not in this apartment with me before I left gets cleaned. I'm like rubbing down bottles and cans with like soap and water for 20 seconds before I put it in the fridge.
Me too. I'm washing every piece of produce with soap and water. If I want an apple, it is getting scrubbed like my hands are getting scrubbed, and it's very strange. It's very strange.
Someone say that it's best to use vinegar instead of soap for produce.
I have vinegar.
Yeah,
I can do
that's what I'm hearing, but I would check the math on that one.
Speaking of,
don't want to ingest a bunch of soap.
That is true. That is true. Speaking of food stuff, Dodger Ryan says, "Hi Roxy, eating at a restaurant alone is okay. Just bring your laptop and someone will think you're the manager. Happened to me twice." That is a great tip. However, honestly, truly, I do not give a flying fuck if anybody thinks I'm the manager or not anymore. If I'm eating alone, it's because I love myself and I'm very happy to eat with myself. Thank you.
Look, when I booked that TV job, I took myself out to a very nice dinner by my black ass self.
Heck yeah, babe. I love that. Where did you go?
I went to a steakhouse where they do like a $50 prime rib meal, which is huge. So it was really like 2 meals.
Unreal.
I took myself out, spent, because $50 is a lot for me to be spending on some food.
Yeah, but you earned that. That's like a huge. You need to celebrate the victories, because otherwise, what's the point?
Yeah.
Like, what's the point? You have to pat yourself on the back. And I like that you did it by yourself, because it's not like, I mean, I'm sure a bajillion people would have gone with you. You have so many friends and loved ones, but like, you did that. You booked that gig. You did that. You got the job. This is your journey. And it's nice to spend time with yourself and like congratulate yourself.
Right now I'm spending too much time with myself, but
same
normal circumstances. Yes. Well, it's also one of those things where it's like, I am very fortunate in that I get to work with all of my favorite people all of the time. And like, especially like times right now, you really understand. It's like, dude, I'll literally walk into my office and I'm surrounded by a bunch of people who I would hang out with on my days off. Like, that's amazing. Getting to do this really fun thing. And so I also just like, I'm bad at planning birthday parties for myself. Like, I'm bad at all of that stuff. The idea of a bunch of people standing around in a circle and being like, Dan, yeah, it's weird. It's weird.
Okay, fine. I'll plan your next birthday party. Twist my arm, why don't you?
But thank you.
It's like my dream is to plan you a birthday party. Everybody would show up. Everybody loves you. Speaking of love to John Doe. Thank you for that. No question asked. Just appreciate the super chat, and that's awesome. Going back to questions for Danielle from the Patreon. Sticking with wrestling for a second, Glenn Caesar says, "Hey Danielle, what's your preference? WWE next, AEW, or NJPW?" Yeah, he said, "What's your preference? WWE next?" Or so it says WWE/next. Sorry, NXT, AEW, or NJPW. And what's your favorite wrestling match of all time? What's NJPW?
That's New Japan Pro Wrestling.
New Japan. Yeah, of course.
New Japan. My favorite match, like, ever? Or is he asking what my, like, because right now weirdly, even though I feel weird about watching dudes touch right now, normally I have no problem with it. But speaking of, someone in the comments said that Pornhub is free right now.
Is that true?
It's so
wild.
We'll have to look that up.
Go Pornhub, get a Pornhub.
Helping each other out in any way we can, man. It's a great time to be a wrestling fan, because there's so much wrestling that like they actually, and that's part of the reason why it was so disappointing that I feel like WWE is kind of just like sitting on their hands right now. Everyone else, excuse me, gross. Everyone else is doing so good.
Nothing about you is gross. You're a perfect human being, and I love you, and you're fabulous. Continue.
I had a burpsy. But yeah, NXT is great. But the main roster right now, I'm not like, I barely even watch it because it's not interesting to me. I like some things. I like Daniel Bryan and Drew Gulak is fun. Again, Becky Lynch, always a good time. Love Sasha and Bailey. But like a lot of it is just not speaking to me as a fan in a lot of the ways that like, a lot of the indies or NXT, which is obviously like it was their training. There was trainings, but now it's just kind of like their indie version of WWE. Whatever, it's great. But yeah, main roster sucks. Favorite match ever? That's a rough one. And this could change a million times.
Yeah, nobody hold her to this. I hate when somebody asks my favorite thing and then it changes and people are like, you said this. It's like, I'm a human being and my opinion is allowed to change. Thank you. Thank you.
Right now, my favorite match is Sasha Bailey Brooklyn. That is my favorite match right now. I think in terms of telling a story in the ring with the wrestling, because I mean, obviously I love the athleticism and I love all of that stuff, but I will say that there are very few people who are very good at communicating a story with their bodies. And so all the stuff they did with the hand and all the, or was that Iron Man? I don't remember. Both of those matches were great. But yeah, Sasha Bailey Brooklyn is probably my favorite match right now.
Speaking of Sasha, Alias in the Patreon says, I'm not a wrestling fan, but I'm excited to hear about Sasha Banks coming into Mandalorian. What's she like and how awesome would it be to have her and Gina Carano tear shit up?
So this is very interesting to me. So Sasha's character on WWE is that she's the boss, she's the legit boss. She's very like, she's like right now she's a heel, but she's like if Beyonce was a wrestler, except she's small. Little tiny, could fit in your pocket.
But still like the most stunning human being.
Oh my God. I used to call her my wife for like years until I was like, people are starting to know who I am and that can be read as creepy. So I'm going to have to.
That's awesome.
It's a little weird. It's a little Spanish and you can get away with that stuff when no one cares who you are, but 2 people care who I am now. So I should probably knock that off.
More than two.
Yeah, maybe 3. But so she is incredibly athletic. When it comes to telling stories in a ring, she is a ring general. She loves wrestling more than anything in the world. It's always been her favorite thing. It has always been her dream. She takes it very, very seriously and she's very passionate about it. And that's why she is one of the best working wrestlers in the world. She just is. And one of the best women's wrestlers of all time, just is, because she takes it so seriously. I am very interested to see how they use her physically, because if you don't use her physically, you are wasting her. But
okay,
she's not the best at the
promo cutter.
Yeah, she's not the best at the talking. I mean, here's the thing. When she's doing that NXT style or those other styles where it's like bullet points and you just kind of go down it and you make it your own, she's great. When they script stuff for her, it's not always great. And she tends to like stumble on her words sometimes. I totally do it too. But I had to train myself to slow down for live performances. And it's also when we see those things happen, those are live performances. So obviously that's not going to be in the cut there. I think she's going to benefit so much from being directed. I think she's going to benefit so much from acting. And also, like, as much as I enjoy her as a wrestler, and I hope that she does it for as long as she wants to, it is also a brutal career. No one comes out of it without many, many, many injuries. And so if there was a way where she could still use that brain and that athleticism and, let's face it, that face, to make some money that doesn't involve throwing herself on the ground, 4 nights a week for hours at a time, not the worst thing.
I agree with everything you just said. Going to this question, I do think that a Sasha Banks, Gina Carano conversation on air might be, they're going to need a lot of direction. They're going to need. Gina was best in the role when it was an action sequence. And so I think that we'll see how that plays out. I am very excited for it. And it's also interesting going back to what you said earlier about how much she takes this so seriously, because usually a lot of times I find that when you come from a family of somebody as famous as she does, you know, being cousins with Snoop, that sometimes you don't take this shit so seriously. And so it just shows even more about her character that she comes from where she comes from, you know, and having seen like everything that he did and accomplished, and she still takes this with like she puts 110% in every time.
Well, I think that is also like she's talked about this, so this doesn't sound like a weird, gross, groupie thing to know. So her brother growing up was disabled, and so she spent a lot of time helping to take care of him, and they would move around, take care of him. And so I think it's one of those things. It's something that Ron Funches, comedian, has talked about before too.
I love him. I love him.
Because, you know, his son has autism, and so he's talked about how, like, if I was going to do this, I have to take it seriously for my son, because I can't do this half-assed. So if I'm going to do it, I have to do it. And I think that that's kind of her thing too, is like, if I'm not going to be if I'm not going to be directly taking care of my brother, then I need to be doing something where I can make sure he's taken care of for the rest of his life. So either I get a job, or I do this and I do it the best anyone's ever done it.
Right. Yeah, I agree with everything you just said. Speaking of Ron Funches, you know that I'm good friends with X-Pac, with Sean Waltman, and Ron Funches and Sean are very good friends. So I have met him before, and like I have the biggest. I don't even know what you call it when you just think somebody's so amazing and like starstruck. I get starstruck by him.
He's another one we like started together back in Seattle, so it was like
so cool.
Yeah, Seattle and Portland, like there's a lot of folks that I know just from doing stand-up in that area, because there was like a huge comedy festival that ran for about 7 years called Bridgetown, called Bridgetown. And then also we would all just go back and forth, and we would do like these turnarounds where you would like, you know, it takes you 2 hours to drive to Portland. You go to Portland, either you crash at someone's house or then you drive right back up. And so for a while I had like the apartment where people would crash on my couch if they were in town doing stand-up. So yeah, I've had a lot of famous buddies on my couch.
The best people are from the Pacific Northwest. The best people. I love it there. Going back into the Streamlabs, Sean McCarthy says, "What have you been watching or listening to lately for fun or escapism?"
Like I said, just like a lot of Shameless. Like I got really into.
Yeah.
I just discovered that show because there's a very famous, awesome queer couple on that show, and I saw like someone was like, "Hey, there's like a gay marriage on the show," and I was like, "Yeah, I'll watch that queer shit. Give it to me. Put it in my veins." And so like I watched it, and then I just fell down this like rabbit hole of like YouTube videos all about like this couple.
I'm obsessed with them, and I'm obsessed with it, and everything about the show is hysterical and amazing. And but like also it's so dysfunctional and unhealthy, the couple, but like you root for them so hard.
And they're like, you know, that's what they know. Like that's how it works. And so I've just like become obsessed. And so that is what I've been escaping into, because it doesn't help that they're both incredibly attractive men.
Yes.
And they have chemistry like off the charts. Like they're both straight actors. One of them is married, and like you believe that these people are in love. It's amazing.
It is insane.
As an actress, it's like, that's really, although, you know, Lord knows, imagine not liking every gender. Couldn't be me. But just watching like the level of talent, it's like, yeah, that makes me want to step my game up. Sure.
I feel you a million times. It's so like I love that show so much. Going into, we have a lot more in the Streamlabs, so want to get to some of these. Garth McMurray says, "I'm bummed that Roxy has never done an RPG. Danielle, please help get Roxy into an RPG, maybe with other live RPG players like Emma Fyffe, Joe Starr, Grace Hancock, Trisha Hirschberger, etc. I think as an actor, Roxy would get into the character role play."
You are
help me
improving and writing and acting and doing all of the things that you love, except like there's numbers, but someone else takes care of that.
I don't numbers. What? Why?
Yeah, like, you know, you have to like you roll for all of your attributes. You have to roll dice so that you can be like, hey, I want to do this thing. Well, was it successful? Was it not successful? Dice say yes. Dice say no. How many points do I have left? But that's the job of the DM. That's fine. You don't worry about that. You create stories.
What's DM, like direct message?
Well, so there's in some games it's called a dungeon master. In some it's called games master.
DM or GM. Slide into the GMs.
Don't slide into your GM, not without consent.
Good point. Good point. Alex K in the super chat says, "To my favorite strong, fierce, and independent female voices coming from a gay man. Thanks for helping with escapism during these trying times. Much love from Detroit." Thanks, Alex K.
Oh, that's sweet. Thank you, Alex.
I love that message. Thank you. Thank you. Going back over to the Streamlabs, Alex over here. Oh, he said the same thing over here. He said, "Roxy and Danielle, two of my favorite strong, independent, female inspired. I'm a gay man. Much love from Detroit." I'll read it twice. Good for you, Alex. You rock. Sugar Gum says, "What kind of music are you guys listening to? I am obsessed with The Weeknd's new album. Escape from LA and Scared to Live are the best songs." What are you listening to?
That new Doja Cat song, "Say So." If we were still having a summer, that would have been, I would have said that would have been a strong candidate for Song of the Summer, at least for me. So
dude, a lot of people are still going to the beach right now. They're just, it's so weird.
It's like, Jaws, man, don't go in the water. What are you doing?
I know. And I also said this to my friends, like, what if your car breaks down? Right. I mean, then like you're taking away resources from other people. You know, people have to come rescue you. You have to interact with people. Like, you can't control once you, come on, be safe.
Be safe. Get out of the water. What are you doing? Yeah. So that's one that I've been listening to a lot. I've been going back and listening to some Frank Ocean, because who doesn't like Frank Ocean?
Good point.
What else have I been playing right now? I'm going to look at my phone and see. Going back and listening to some SZA. That was a great album. If you guys didn't pick up Control, I suggest that you do that. The Almost Famous soundtrack, which is one that I always kind of default to. And the Summer Walker EP Clear is really good. Well, very good. And that's enough.
Have you listened to Harry Styles' new album yet?
I don't get it.
Okay, here's
something, and it sounds like you're having a blast. I don't get it.
Can we please talk for a second about this? Because here's what happened. I had a few friends who were like, "You have to listen to this. It's amazing." And I was like, it's like not usually my thing. But then Stevie Nicks posted that this was his Rumors. And Rumors is one of my favorite ever. And Stevie Nicks is my god. So I was like, oh, okay, I'll have to check this out.
Yeah.
I'm 3 songs in and he's singing about watermelons?
Dude, I don't know, man. Watermelon sugar. I have to, it's going to be one of those ones where, because I keep doing that too, where I put on a song and I'm like, I'm not vibing to this at all. I think which I can't do right now. My favorite way to get into an album is you put the thing on and you go for a long walk. You walk until the album's over and then you know if you actually like it. That's not an option right now, and it doesn't work as well on your exercise bike. So that might just have to be an album that waits until we're no longer pandemicked.
Do you have an exercise bike?
Oh, yeah. I bought it forever ago. It's a recumbent bike because I've got the bad back.
I'm so jealous right now. I have nothing.
Oh, yeah. No, that's become part of my routine. I have to. Because, I don't know if the stream knows this, but you know this. I don't drive. I walk everywhere, which is weird in LA. So I walk or I take the bus everywhere. And sometimes I take lifts and stuff if I can afford it and have the time to do so. But a major source of transportation for me is just my 2 feet. And so I bought a bike when I was first recovering from the accident. I bought a bike. It was really cheap. Got it for like $150 on Amazon. Put it together myself. Little recumbent bike. It's nothing like super fancy, but it's something I can do while I watch TV. Because I wasn't able to do as much walking then as I would have liked either. And so it just kind of like, I usually occasionally, but it mostly just sits there because I'm walking. But since I'm not walking right now, I have to do something because like that walk is the thing that makes my brain work for the rest of the day, is like having that time.
Did you say it was like $150?
Yeah, put it together myself.
I can't find one. They're like all $1,000 right now.
No, I'll send you. It's cheap. It's not like the best quality or whatever, but
I don't care. I just want something because I have been going for shorter walks, just like around my block. But even that is making me very nervous because there's a lot of people doing that.
There are too many people outside in my neighborhood right now. I do not like it.
I know. And there's no way to. And kids, I'm sorry, but like if you are a parent and you have kids, you need to teach them that they can't, like kids are running up to me and like somebody threw a ball at me, like catch. And I was like, Like,
No. Oh my
and the parent said, "Now you got to go wash your hands with soap." And I was like,
But
what?
it's funny though. That's
But I
not
take care of my 92 and 94-year-old grandparents, so I need you to not do that.
you need
Like,
to do that. Yeah.
and I need you to teach your kid who does not know any better to not do that. So frustrating. Going back over it in the Streamlabs, streamlabs.com/Roxy Stryer. Faraz Mutana says, a lot of you guys putting the same comment in the super chat and in the Streamlabs right now, and I'm loving that. He says it's okay to eat alone. Sometimes you don't want people around you. Oh, no, it's different. And Danielle, as a wrestling fan, myself, what was the moment where you were like, yeah, I love this stuff. Stay safe?
The first time I like sat down and really watched it, which was all my friends were getting into wrestling. It was during the Attitude Era. I actually started later than everyone else, so I kind of missed when WCW was at its like peak. I came like right after, so I'd missed like Foley, like falling through Hell in the Cell. I'd missed all that stuff. But the first episode I ever watched was the episode where Undertaker has Stephanie McMahon up on his like Undertaker crucifix thing or whatever, and I was like, oh, this is like Mortal Kombat. And you guys know how I feel about Mortal Kombat. I was like, oh, this is gothy and this is like Mortal Kombat, and I didn't know that this is what we were doing, and now I'm 100% in. So like literally the first time I ever watched it, I was like, oh, I get this. I get this heavy.
Why were you watching it?
All my friends were into it, and I was just like, okay, I guess I'll like give it a shot. Because like literally I had a friend where we would do this thing. I'm really dating myself. We would do this thing where there was this channel called The Box, which was essentially a music box thing where it's like you could call in and they would and you can request songs, and then they would play your song with like a little message from you and stuff on it. And so we would call each other all the time, and we would just rip on videos. We would just make fun of music videos all day long, just ripping on everything, or like other TV shows and stuff. And so, and I have my own phone line because I'm a brat. And so
that's amazing.
I'm such a brat. And so my then it started becoming like, well, I'm watching wrestling. You want to watch wrestling? Because she was like, well, I'm getting off the box. I'm going to watch wrestling now. And I was like, okay, well, you go do that because I'm not watching wrestling with you. And then I hung up and I was like, let me see what she's talking about. And then I got the Undertaker, and I was like, this is for me.
Honestly, you light up about a lot of stuff because you're a passionate person, but I see you light up the most when you're talking about wrestling. Would you want to ever be like, would you want to do anything in the WWE?
No. I've been sent job postings before from people who've been like, hey, they're looking for a content producer. Hey, they're looking for this, they're looking for that. I have seen and personally know too many writers who uprooted their entire lives to move to friggin' Connecticut and then be out of a job in 2 months and trying to come back to LA and redo any semblance of what they were doing before. It is tough to be a writer there. And then because all of the decisions come down to like 170-something-year-old dude, a lot of the fans don't really like a lot of the decisions that get made, and they always blame the writers. It's like, it's not the writer.
Right.
Vince, I've known the writers, and I've known people who have written for WWE who have booked amazing shows and written amazing storylines in other places, and their ideas just didn't get used. NXT, that's something different. I might consider, I should be so lucky, I should say. I should be so lucky to work at NXT. But WWE, being a writer or a content producer or whatever for them, I feel like anyone I know has a chance of doing that for 2 months and then getting burnt out.
What about on camera though? Like, I feel like you would do a great job, like interviewing them after, whatever the name of the Kathy Kelly position or Renee Young, like sideline.
Yeah, backstage interviewer. Yeah, I think that would be really fun. I think I would really enjoy that.
You would crush.
I could do that, like something like that, or something like a manager would be great. I obviously can't wrestle. I don't have a back. My dreams of having a spine are gone, so I obviously can't like wrestle.
That was the actual saddest sentence I've ever heard you say. My dreams of having a spine are gone. Oh my god!
Don't get hit by a bus. That's my new hit song. But yeah, so I think it would be, but it's also one of those things where it's like, I love it so much.
Yeah.
I want to I would want to do it in the best possible way to do it. And I know that that environment would not be one in which I flourish or felt happy about my work. And I
Yes,
don't,
sometimes also you don't want to know how the sausage is made when you're just like such a big fan of.
I already know and don't like it.
Yeah, that's tough.
In the sausage factory.
I don't know what this means, but every single Streamlabs and super chat we get gets read. So it was me, Austin. It was me all along. What is this?
So there was something, I forget what the name of it was. Shoot. But there was this like hooded figure that was working with the Undertaker, and everyone was like, oh, he's like the dark presence or like the dark power, and he's the reason why Stephanie got kidnapped and all this stuff. And so then Austin finds out who this is, and he gets irate because he has saved Stephanie, even though like him and Vince do not get along, but he was like, I am saving Stephanie because she isn't innocent in all of this. And so then he finds out who the dark force is or whatever they called it, and just spends 2 episodes, like 2 hours of TV, just stunning every single person that he came into contact with. It was great. And so then Austin like knows who this is, and they're all in the ring with this dark hooded presence. And who's like, and then he takes off the thing, and it's Vince McMahon. It was,
oh my God.
It was me all along. And it's like, what? Because Vincent went to him crying, like, Stephanie, help me save Stephanie. But no, it was him.
That's amazing. I literally had no idea what that was about. I was like,
I think that happened 2 or 3 weeks after. This is back in the day when there wasn't a lot of wrestling, so I can actually say like 2 episodes later would have been 2 or 3 weeks later. After Austin rescued Stephanie off of the Undertaker's big Undertaker crucifix and delivered her to a weeping openly McMahon. That Vince.
Damn you. So weird. All right, going back.
Austin.
over to the Streamlabs. So this person must have missed earlier when you said this, but King Nirvana 24 said, Danielle, have you seen Dark Side of the Ring last night? 2 parts are in YouTube, Roxy. You should check it out also. So we know you haven't yet, but maybe you should do like a live watch along or something. Are you YouTubing at all? Do you have, I don't even know about like, are you doing your own channel or where's your content going?
I mean, I'm sure I have a channel because I have a thing that I comment on. But I haven't really been doing a lot of like the streamy stuff.
Mostly social media and stuff.
Mostly social media, but I guess I should probably start at least something, at least like check in with people once a week and be like, hey, do you care that I exist? Okay, bye.
We know they care you exist. That's why they're here asking you questions.
Oh, you guys are sweet.
But I mean, I think that with all of the Dark Side of the Ring thoughts, whenever you do watch, you're gonna have to do like a recap
or something. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. Going back into the Patreon, Aaliyah says, is there an honest trailer you're really, really keen to do? We haven't talked much about honest trailer stuff right now.
Ooh. I'm trying to think because it's like, I would love to do, it's hard because it's like, you know, I want to do The Last Dragon, but no one cares but me. But that would be the honest trailer that I would want to do.
What is The Last Dragon?
Roxy, what?
What?
Okay. So The Last Dragon is a movie that was produced by Barry Gordy in the 80s. And it is about this dude named Bruce Leroy. His real name is Leroy Green, but he goes by Bruce Leroy because he can fight. He's real good at fighting, and he loves Bruce Lee. And then there's another guy who he teaches like he works at his parents' pizza parlor, and he teaches martial arts class. There is another rival dude who has a gang, and his name is Shonuff, the Shogun. He dresses like a shogun, but it's all like American stuff. So it's like football pads. He's got like a Jerry curl. He wears in like a top knot. It's amazing. It's so good. And they're always like fighting. And so Leroy has been, his master was no longer able to teach him because he said, I have nothing else to teach you. So I'm going to go to Florida to hang out with my mom. And so now Leroy is like in pursuit of something called the glow, which when all of your chi and all your stuff is good, you get this glow that goes all over your body and it gives you superpowers. And so he believes this thing is real and he is off to pursue it. Meanwhile, while you have all of these different threads happening, there is this video VJ named Laura something, played by Vanity, once upon a time Prince Prodigy. And so there's this dude named Eddie Arcadian who's trying to like work with her, and like he gets her kidnapped, and then Bruce meets her and like rescues her, and like they're starting to fall in love. It's so good.
Wait, the people are like and are all with you. I can't believe I've never heard of this.
I can't believe you've never heard of it either, but now you have to watch it.
Wait, everybody said Roxy's never seen The Last Dragon. Matt Link says that it's Iron Fist style. Is that true? What is Shonuff?
Shonuff, the Shogun of Harlem. Yep.
Oh, that was okay. Everybody's excited about this. Everyone, what is this thing?
It's a New York ass, black ass, 80s ass kung fu movie.
Where have I been? I don't know. My friends don't care about me. They don't recommend me the good stuff.
Well, I think that you would enjoy The Last Dragon very, very much. It is very bad.
You don't think they would ever let you do it on Honest Trailers for it?
No.
It's just not.
Well, if you haven't even heard of it, like, so
yeah.
It's kind of obscure, and to have all of our resources spent making a trailer that's literally just for me would not be. I would not recommend that we do that.
Are you guys working on one specific one right now?
We're working on a bunch of different ones because we've got some supercuts that we're doing. I don't know how much I can talk about any of this stuff that we're working on.
I'm like, how do I phrase this? Okay, and you guys are doing what, like Zoom calls with each other, or just kind of draft sending to each other?
I think just kind of like draft sending and sending each other notes, which is a lot of what we were doing when we were in the office anyway. I'm sure we'll do like a Zoom call sometimes to like go over scripts and read them out loud and things like that. But I also just got back, so I'm still like I'm refinding my Honest Trailer sea legs.
It's actually really funny because people ask me all the time, what is the Honest Trailers process like? And obviously, I don't write for Honest Trailers, but I've been at Screen Junkies for a long time. So I will walk into your guys' writer room occasionally, and it is silent 90% of the time. Like, you guys your backs are all face each other towards your desks, and you are all pounding away at the keyboard, typing, researching. Like, every maybe 15 minutes, one of you will be like, Joe, which word? This word or this word? That one. Got it. Spenny, what do you think? Got it. Like, there's like you guys are all in your own world. It's wild.
Yeah. So the way that the process usually works is obviously we get the movie, and then we all watch the movie. And while we're watching the movie, we're taking notes. We're looking at tropes. We're tracking tropes that we notice. We're making jokes. We're working on starrings. We're like doing our own observations and blah, 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 blah. Those notes all go to the person who it's their turn to write the first couple drafts of the trailer. So then everyone gives them their notes. They hunker down, bang out 1, 2, or 3 drafts, and then that one gets known as the first draft, and that's the one that gets sent to everyone. And then we break that, meaning we all come together. Spencer reads it out loud. We go, did that section work?
It's always Spencer who reads it out loud?
Yeah, it's usually Spenny who reads it out loud.
That's funny.
That's head writer stuff. So then we, what did we think about this section? Can there be a funnier word here? What about this? Did anyone bring up that? Well, we could put this chunk in here. And then we just start like giving notes on the trailer. And then the person who writes that draft wrote the first draft. They then go away and bang out the second draft with everyone's notes of what we could change and what we could do. And then that goes to Spencer, and then he does his last Spencer pass. And then once he does his Spencer pass, then it's on to the editors and to John Bailey for voiceover.
Damn. So much work. So much work. I mean, that's why they're so good, though. It's just so much work. It's just like a long process.
It is. But once you get into the rhythm of it, it was really intimidating for me at first. Because I'm very much used to like, I'll just go off into my own like hole and do whatever. You really, like, surprisingly, you get very used to the feeling of something you write not landing and it not crushing you. It's a good skill to learn for any writer, because even like no one is crushing it 100% of the time. That's just not how it works. We keep doing it until it gets better. But yeah, this process has definitely helped me be able to take notes on my own work. it's because it's never like cruel or mean or anything. It'll just be like, that doesn't work as well as it should. What can we do here instead?
I love that. We are getting out of here soon, so I want to read these last super chats. Let's see. PRL18 says WWE Network is free now. Check it out, Rox. It's free right now? Wow. That doesn't sound like Vince at all.
No.
I believe you, though.
You know why it's probably free? Because it's probably like, I already got the email address for all of you because it's probably going to be like only first-time subscribers.
Yeah, and like 1 week trial or whatever. I've already done that before. Glenn Caesar says, Roxy, can we get the Last Dragon watch along? If I do it, you know who's coming on it with me. That would be wild. Larry Lee says, don't feel bad, Roxy. I never saw The Last Dragon. Yeah, but not only had I never seen it, I had never heard of it. That's the bad part. Like, I'm sure a lot of people have never seen it, but I don't know. We all have these like chunks missing in our knowledge base.
There's so much good music. Like, Feel the Heat of the Rhythm of the Night came from that movie.
No way.
Because it was Berry Gordy. Because Berry Gordy is Motown. So there's like like 80s Motown hits in there.
Damn, I missed it. Okay, Mayra M says, Danielle, can you enjoy movies now or is it ruined?
No, I shit talk everything that I love. That's kind of a jam. In fact, the more I love something, the more keen I am to shit talk it. Just because it's like, I know that I love this thing. I'm not being mean to this thing, but I'm more able to, if I really don't like something, I kind of don't even want to talk about it. But yeah.
I like that your phrase is, if you love something, shit talk it.
If you love something, talk that shit. But yeah, so no, movies aren't ruined for me. I love movies. I love media. I do think hype is ruined for me now. I don't, and I think that that's also part of the reason why I like to separate myself from when there's like a big hot takey conversation or things are happening, just because like I'm absorbing so much of it for work that most people can like back away from it and be like, oh, I can just like not be on social media. I can just like not read, Variety. I can just like take myself out of all of these things if I find myself getting burnt out on hot takes. I can't. It's my job.
Yeah.
So that part of movies does, but the part where you like analyze it and you find tropes and stuff, that stuff I was already doing anyway. That's stuff that I learned to do when I was in theater school, when you're going through and you're learning, because they don't just teach you how to act, they also teach you how to analyze media and how to analyze the plays that you're working on. So yeah, that's not anything new.
A few announcements before we get out of here, just so you guys know, scheduling wise, tomorrow Steph Sabra is coming on the show and she has some big announcements to make. So make sure you see that episode tomorrow at 1. This Saturday, my friend Natalia Ramos is joining us. She was a Nickelodeon star, a teen star. She was one of the Brats in the Bratz movie. That doll, the dolls, the Brats. Yeah, she was one of them. So she's now gone into politics and has quite an interesting life story. I believe she's like living on some weed farm somewhere during this quarantine. So we certainly will have quite a bit to talk about with her. And then more guests coming up next week. We've got Ken Knapsack joining us on Thursday. So a whole lot of people. Oh, and Sam Basher is coming this Sunday. So definitely tons of guests coming up very soon on the show. Danielle, thank you so much for joining us. You're awesome. Always.
Thank you so much for having me.
I know it's on the screen below, but where can everybody keep up with you? Where can they find you? When, where, what, how?
Just at Danielle Radford on Twitter. I'm usually kind of good at making sure that I keep that updated. At Danielle_Radford on Insta. I wasn't so quick to get the handle on that one. But yeah, no, those are usually the places you can find me. And I do a pretty decent job now of updating if I'm doing anything or if I'll be anywhere. So
in the last super chat, he also put this in the Streamlabs. I thought I read it, but maybe I didn't. Sorry if I didn't. Glenn Caesar says, glad to see you two together again. What a comedic duo. Bring on the delightful weirdness. LOL. More collabs from YouTube, please. Love you both. Oh, Sci-Fi Network for Danielle's project. Nice. Hashtag Rockstars Band. Yay. Danielle's such a rock star. All right, guys, we'll see you here tomorrow at 1 p.m. And again, a round of applause. Where you are at home right now, everybody actually do it with me. It will make us feel like a collective. Round of applause for Danielle. Yay! I know you don't like this. Okay, we'll get out of here. Okay, bye.